Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Now I know what you're thinking, why are you posting videos on Wednesday? Aren't you in school? I'm gonna report you to the virtual principal's office. No, I'm out of school right now. It's almost like, what time is it? It's like 6, almost 7. It's like 6:50, almost 7, in the afternoon. Well, evening, I would suppose. But, if you guys do not know, today is March 31st, and, a couple hours ago, this morning, I posted a video talking about all of the films, all 11, non-MCU movies, non-new release 2021 March movies that I saw in the month of March. You better go watch that video. But I'll be posting 2 more videos today, which will be the video you're watching right now, which is my Godzilla vs. Kong review, and the next one will be my March new release 2021 movie release video. It's gonna have like over 5 movies, and yeah. But now, let's start talking about Godzilla vs. Kong. So I think the best thing about Godzilla vs. Kong is that it really gives you of what you're asking for. Granted, the story is very straightforward. I think it's very straightforward. It's basically about Godzilla. They bring Godzilla because they bring King Kong off Skull Island because they need him to take down Godzilla. And that's really where the plot goes. And another good thing I liked about the film is that when they say that it's about a film between Godzilla and King Kong fighting, you really do get that. Now, you don't really get much of it, especially with the nighttime fights. I don't really think they look that great because they're just too dark. But I have to say, the fights in this movie were really, really good. There are just so many amazing... At first, when I was thinking about this, I didn't really think that Godzilla was going to make any, like, punches or anything. I thought King Kong was really just going to take all the blows and stuff, and Godzilla was just going to do, blasting at him with the fire out of his mouth. But no, he actually goes full giant lizard mode, and he just starts beating the crap out of King Kong. There's even a scene where he like starts scratching him and starts stepping on him, like crushing him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so violent, especially for a PG-13 film, and you start to like feel the emotion for King Kong. Another thing, and speaking of King Kong as basically the main character in this movie, as the main monster in this film, he actually has a pretty cool story throughout this film, and the relationship with the little girl. I actually thought that relationship between the little girl and Kong worked really nicely. Another thing you gotta talk about is that I know that human characters, I'm not saying that they're the best, like they're basically like Kong Skull Island's characters, where they're basically paper thin characters. They're much like that, except I thought that these characters were a lot more interesting and a lot more fun to be around. Kinda. Well, yeah. Mostly, yeah. And I thought that the best guy to hang out with was, the kid from Deadpool 2, the girl, I believe, from the second Godzilla film, and the guy that played the cop in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the podcast guy. I forgot his name, but I know it's the guy that plays the cop that plays Miles' dad in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But, yeah. Also, you gotta talk about the CGI. This is probably one of the most beautiful films of the MonsterVerse. It's not as beautiful as Kong Skull Island, but it lives up to what Kong Skull Island gave us. And you know, it kind of had an emotional impact with it. And yeah, so that's kind of where it ends on the positives on this one. With that said, let's get started talking about the bad. And really the main problem that comes to mind with this movie is that the story of, you know... Now, like I said before, the story is very simple, but once they bring King Kong, they literally just have him captive throughout the entire movie until Godzilla shows up until Godzilla really shows up. They just keep him captive, and all the human characters are just talking. And then also, I don't like it the way the characters are separated. I feel like there's so many groups that are trying to figure out the battle between Godzilla and King Kong. I feel like there's too many groups going on and too many stories going on. And even though I do like the human characters, I don't think that the way they're all organized is the way they're all organized in this location, and this location, and this location. It doesn't really make sense, but you understand what, you know, what you can kind of see how it connects with all of them. But I don't like the way it really goes from one location to one location to one location. Like, why isn't them all together like Kong Skull Island? And then another problem I really had is there was also this cringy moment of once the battle and the final battle, once the dad met the podcast guy, he was like, "Yeah, this is an honor to meet you. I would really like to join. I would really like for you to join my podcast." Like, that's just cringy to me, like really cringy. And I'm like, the world was about to end. You just saved his daughter's life, and you're asking him to join your podcast? Like, why couldn't you ask about that later? Actually, why do you have to ask that at all? That's just really cringy to me. And also, I will say this, adding Mechagodzilla into this, I actually thought that was a pretty cool idea. But then, the way Godzilla and King Kong teamed up in the end, I didn't really think looked that cool. I mean, when Mechagodzilla and normal Godzilla were fighting, I thought that fight looked cool, but when Godzilla and King Kong were fighting Mechagodzilla, it didn't really look that cool, so that's another thing. And then they also had some skull crawlers. I thought they were gonna like set up some stuff, like they were gonna have Mechagodzilla and the skull crawlers facing off together. Well, not like coming together and taking down Godzilla and King Kong together. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me wanting more. But yeah. So that's everything I didn't like about Godzilla vs. Kong. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. Be sure to tell me down below, what do you guys think about Godzilla vs. Kong? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Were you right there in between? And are you guys going to be watching it this weekend, closing out the month of March? Let me know what you guys thought about. Let me know what you guys thought about down below. With that said, let's get started with those scores. Alright, so that is it for my Godzilla vs. Kong review. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram name is Marvel6. My TikTok name is Marvel1Fan. If you guys don't follow me on those, if you don't understand those names, head to my about section so you can follow me on those social medias. And another thing, I wanna talk about one thing before this video ends, is that a couple of videos ago I talked about how I have Letterboxd now, and basically I'm not using it like everybody else. I'm not gonna be making lists and reviews and watch lists. Well, obviously, I have notes for that, and I only have 2 lists on there. A list of movies that I reviewed on this channel, which are movies that I have seen, and then other movies that I have talked about on my channel, but I haven't seen, or movies that I have skipped of the series that I'm doing because they're not free anywhere. But yeah, that's what I'm doing, and yeah, so that's what I'm using. Letterboxd for, and yeah, so hopefully you guys understand my decision for it, and yeah, so see you guys in the next video. Bye.